Hey everyone, Eski here again to talk to you about DPS. Finally, right? In a team of 5 there are 2 DPS players that both play different roles, but today we'll be looking at the Kovac specialists known as Hitscans and go into depth about how and when to pop off in this role. Let's get into the warm-up so we can get ready to pop off. We'll be practicing using this code. Make sure to pick Cassidy, Ashe, Widow, Soldier, or Tracer. Try to keep track of how your hand moves when you're aiming. An example of this would be if you're moving your whole arm while you're aiming, or just your wrist. This will come in handy later on in our drills. Before we talk about drills, let's discuss what Hitscan DPS does in a team and what heroes they are expected to play. Hitscan refers to the type of damage that comes out of the weapon. Hitscan is like a point-and-click adventure, meaning that when you click, that's where the damage hits, as opposed to a projectile that will have a bit of a delay in where it lands. Because of this, the player is expected to play Widow, Cassidy, Ashe, Sojourn, and Tracer to name a few, which all require heavily on where they are positioned as well as if they can escape getting dove. Positioning is key for these heroes because of something called fall off, meaning that the further away you are from someone, the less damage the bullet will do. In this exercise, go into the practice range or the warm-up code I've provided for about 5 minutes and see the difference between damaging someone up close, medium range, and long range. Make sure to use all the heroes that I talked about because all of them have different effective ranges. Next, let's talk about aiming. Besides doing your warm-ups and consistently aiming, have you ever stopped to look at what your hand is doing while you're aiming? Or are you aiming by moving your wrist, your arms? Top players are able to identify what way they like to aim and keep themselves healthy by doing exercises for their wrist. I aim using my whole arm and do stretches while I have free time. It doesn't have to be a rigorous workout, but enough to keep yourself limber. So, while you're playing, try doing some stretches based on if you use your wrist or if you use your arm. Next we'll talk about win conditions. These plans are created in the downtime between fights in order to win the next team fight. This can be anything like combining 2 ultimates like Nano Blade, or playing for the enemy to pass a specific choke point. Being able to identify your win condition and playing around it is how most contenders and Overwatch League level teams win their games. In the next 3 to 5 quick play games, when you get a chance, look at the other team's lineup, hit tab, and see what their win condition could be, as well as your own. Now that we have an understanding of what Hitscan DPS does in order to get the most value they can out of their damage, now we have to put everything together. While we were learning about our effective range in our first drill, we need to set up a position where we are safe to fire while doing the most damage we can. This means adhering to our fall off. As for our second drill, whenever you're sitting in a queue or when the game is loading, just do some wrist or hand exercises to keep yourself limber. This is especially good for long gaming hours. And lastly, when thinking about win conditions as a Hitscan player, whether it be setting up for a big ult or by getting to a specific position, it's important to commit to the plan if you are able. Examples would be like Nano Visor, engaging with Bob, or baiting people into a choke point to use EMP. Today we talked about how Hitscan DPSs are able to consistently pump out damage while also learning about how to keep your aim healthy, as well as what win conditions are. It's important to remember that everything in this series connects to the other videos. Be sure that while you're practicing these drills that you also recall back to what we previously covered in the series, whether this be playing safe corners, knowing where danger is, or where it's most common for people to play, all of it connects. Next time we'll be talking about Flex DPS and what differs between that and the Hitscan. So until next time, this has been Eski with Game Jam. I hope to see you in the next video.